Hello and welcome to the viewers of this video. This is the Orange Fan here, bringing you another entry for the episode Recap and Thoughts category. This video will be dedicated to episode 9 of Young Justice, Bereft. We begin this episode in Bialya on September 4th, where Miss Martian wakes up in the middle of the desert, in the middle of nowhere. She speaks Martian until she realizes she's on Earth, but she questions when she arrived on Earth in the first place. She then runs into Superboy, but Superboy is acting feral-minded. He rips off his shirt and he lunges at Miss Martian, but Miss Martian is able to deflect the lunge thanks to her telekinesis. Superboy decides that to go off elsewhere in the desert since lunging at Miss Martian didn't do anything. And later on, when the sun has risen, we see Robin is wandering around in the desert, and like Miss Martian, he has no idea how he ended up where he is at the moment. And he's surprised to find out when he looks at his the technology that he has. He's surprised to find out that it's September, and he questions what happened to March, meaning that this amnesia that the team members are suffering from is 6 months, so half a year worth of memory. Yeah, half a year's worth of memory has been erased from the Young Justice team's minds. And Robin's about to contact Batman, but then he does remember, or a quick memory flash happens that it shows Batman instructing everyone to maintain radio silence. So Robin decides to honor what his mentor has instructed them to do. Elsewhere in a cabin, we see Kid Flash and Artemis together, and they have their memories wiped as well. And they actually get along with each other a lot better than they did when they first met in Infiltrator. A missile is launched at the cabin they're in, though, so they're forced to retreat. Eventually, though, they do come across some Bialyan soldiers, but Superboy appears as well, and due to his feral-minded state, he's attacking everyone. Doesn't matter if they're ally or enemy, he's just attacking all over the place. Meanwhile, Miss Martian does meditate to try and remember, or try to, regain some of her memories. And she manages to have a few fragments pieced together. She realizes that she's part of a team, and she figures out that Superboy is a part of that team as well. And eventually she manages to figure out where Artemis, Kid Flash, and Superboy all are because of the mental connection she has with their minds. So she flies off to meet up with them. Eventually, though, Kid Flash and Artemis they retreat with Superboy attacking all over the place, and they do hear Miss Martian contacting them telepathically, which confuses them, until eventually they do reunite, or Miss Martian does run into Artemis and Kid Flash, but they don't recognize her as her, and they do realize that sticking around with her is probably their best chance of reclaiming their memories. Meanwhile, we see Superboy is being subdued by the Bialyan soldiers, and then there's a man in a hood. His name is revealed to be Simon, but his name is spelled with a PS, much like Psychic. So he has telepathic abilities as well, and he manages to mentally subdue Superboy so that they can capture him. Later on, Robin does manage to, he goes to a spot that was marked on his GPS signal, though he doesn't know why. There are some Bialyan soldiers waiting to ambush him, but Miss Martian, Kid Flash, and Artemis all arrive to help him out and take care of the Bialyan soldiers. And Robin and Kid Flash still remember each other, even though half a year's worth of memory has been erased. But then they do realize that they're all suffering from this memory loss. And Miss Martian says that she can help to piece their memories back together and to so they can all figure out what's going on. But they need to open up their minds. They have to open up their minds to her, and they do end up agreeing to do so. And so, for the most part, it seems most, if not all of most of their memories have been restored. They still don't know what led to them losing their memories in the first place. And they realize they gotta find Aqualad because Aqualad is unconscious and he's, just lying around somewhere in the desert. And because of his Atlantean heritage, dehydration is especially bad for Aqualad. So eventually they do manage to find Aqualad, and Miss Martian senses Superboy is in pain. He's being tested by several people, and there's also a sphere that's being tested as well. And so Miss Martian rushes off to rescue Superboy, although Robin warns her that they don't know how they lost their memories in the first place, so it could happen again. So while Miss Martian is off to rescue Superboy, the rest of the Unjustice team try to drag Aqualad back to the bio ship so that they can, help him recover. Miss Martian is in camouflage mode, and she does manage to find where Superboy and the sphere are, but then Simon telepathically contacts her, and we find out Simon was the one responsible for, wiping Miss Martian's mind. And because the rest of the Unjustice team were linked up to Miss Martian's mind, they all had that shared mind link, they ended up losing their memories as well. But this time around, Miss Martian is able to try and fight off Simon. They're fighting in the mental realm. So Miss Martian fights off Simon so that he won't erase her and her teammates' memories again. And that's why Superboy is acting feral-minded, because at least by the time of the first episode, which was July 4th, Superboy was 16 weeks old. So, half a year. So, half a year by September to March, that's half a year. Superboy didn't exist that long ago. So, he has no memories. He's just feral-minded, because what else can you do if you have no memories? So, Miss Martian is fighting Simon in the mental realm, and the sphere seems to notice when Superboy is in pain, and it manages to break free, and it frees Superboy. And while Superboy is still lunging around, he gets deflected by a psychic barrier around Simon, and he ends up making contact with Miss Martian, which allows him to enter the mental realm as well. And Miss Martian takes the opportunity to restore Superboy's memories, although we, the audience, do see a few memories that we haven't seen in any of the previous episodes. So now Superboy has his memories back, and he encourages Miss Martian to defeat Simon while he goes back out of the mental realm. So he's fighting off the Bialyan soldiers with the help of the sphere, while Miss Martian has her mental battle with Simon. Eventually, though, once the outside distractions have been taken care of, Superboy re-enters the mental realm to help Miss Martian defeat Simon. So Simon's out of Miss Martian's mind, and he gets blown away elsewhere. And now that they've defeated Simon, they actually, Superboy wants to know if he can keep the sphere. So back at the bioship, we see Aqualad is starting to recover a bit, but he's startled when Miss Martian telepathically contacts everyone to let them all know that Superboy's memories have been restored and he's been rescued. And Miss Martian realizes that she'll have to restore Aqualad's memories as well. And we do see the sphere is tagging along with them. It's going to come back with them to Mount Justice. And then we see Simon in an unspecified area where he's talking to the light, and he admits that the sphere and Superboy have both escaped. But one of the light members, L4, who has a female voice, tells Simon that he has nothing to worry about because the main objective has been fulfilled, which is testing out the delivery system of their new partner. We then see a quick video clip that shows this delivery system in action, and that's how the sphere ended up here on Earth. And the L4 also proceeds to mention that this delivery system and technology from their new partner will overshadow the sphere and Superboy, and that's how we end the episode. So this episode could be seen as the second spotlight episode for Miss Martian, and it also plays with a classic storyline, the amnesia storyline, where characters lose their memories. And I know some people have mixed thoughts about that, but I thought they executed it very well, particularly with regards to Superboy, because like we said before, Superboy didn't exist during March of the year when the show takes place in. So, yeah, without any memories, he just acted very feral-minded. And I have to admit, though, yeah, the idea of someone getting in your head and erasing your memories, that's pretty scary, actually. And that's part of what made Simon a really, he was a pretty effective villain here because of that scary thought. And yeah, he's telepathic as well, like Miss Martian. So, and he does end up growing. I guess you could say he has a bit of a rivalry with Miss Martian because he and Miss Martian clash again in the future. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. And Simon's also a character who kind of has a running gag as well, not just the Unjustice team members. In his case, he says Simon says because, yeah, his name is spelled differently from the way you usually see Simon spelled, but it sounds the same as Simon. So that's the whole pun or joke with that. And I know some people really didn't like the Simon Says running gag they did, but I didn't mind it at all. And like I said, it kind of made it unsettling how he turned a saying in a game into something kind of unsettling because he's a villain. So I didn't mind the running gag personally. Otherwise, Aqualad took a back seat in this episode. He was mostly unconscious, but I think I understand why they did that because Aqualad did get the spotlight in the previous episode, Downtime, so yeah, they probably had him take a back seat so they could focus on the other team members for this particular episode, and I was okay with that. Otherwise, this episode also does give us a little more details, like we do find out that Bialya's ruler is named Queen Bee. There were several characters that had the title Queen Bee in the main comics. I believe at least one of them was an alien, but the Queen Bee of Young Justice is shown to be a human. And, oh, that's right. At the end of the episode, we do find out Bialya has a neighbor, Korak, and that's actually where the Young Justice team landed. They landed in Korak, and and they crossed the border over to Bialya. So that kind of, and yeah, I mentioned that because Korak is going to be important in a later episode. So yeah, this isn't the last that we've seen of Simon, and it's not the last of Bialya or Korak. We'll be returning to those locations in the future. So once again, it's another planting the seeds of what's to happen in the future. And they also do that with the revelation about the spear coming from or the sphere is not of Earth origins, and the delivery system. Many fans of DC should recognize what that delivery system is. And for those of you who aren't familiar with that particular look for the delivery system, rest assured they will reveal what it is exactly. And we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, as well as when they eventually reveal more about the sphere. And otherwise, yeah, I think that's about the main idea of what to cover for this particular episode. This was another, I would consider it a Miss Martian spotlight episode. And like I said, it did give us a little more details about Earth 16 and, Earth 16. And we do have some more plot lines that we'll be circling back to or coming back to in the future. So, there we go. Oh, and the next episode will be a spotlight episode for a character too, but it's a character who's not currently part of the Injustice team, so that'll be an interesting one to discuss as well. And with that said, we've now discussed episode 9 of Young Justice on this channel. Take care, and until next time.